Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a morning live show where we'll be talking about all the latest transfer news with a story coming in on Zirkzee that is quite promising. More news coming in on Ugarte and Ligt. Obviously, Romano's been speaking about Ugarte and Ligt and Zirkzee to Manchester United a lot, as has lots of credible sources. Bid is coming from Alejandro Garnacho, but as I'm aware, he is untouchable in United's eyes. And then obviously the Euros, Copa America, Garnacho playing, Hojlund playing yesterday. Hojlund is getting a lot of stick online, a lot of people deciding that Hojlund isn't good enough. They've decided they've watched Hojlund in a 4-game tournament and they thought, you know what, he's not good enough. I mean, Harry Kane, the best striker in the world, has been shite for 3 games in this tournament. But no one's saying, oh, Harry Kane's not a good enough striker, because everyone knows what he did at Bayern Munich. Hojlund, when he played for Man United for the most part, was very good despite limited service. But people are now deciding of a 4-game tournament that Rasmus Hojlund isn't good enough for United. Rasmus Hojlund needs help. Rasmus Hojlund needs a support striker, but Rasmus Hojlund's got everything. Rasmus Hojlund, Nicholas Jackson, Darwin Núñez, very good young players with very high potential. They just have elements of their game that need to be worked on, whether that's the clinicalness in front of goal, the composure. So we're going to talk about that as well, because I think the hate towards Rasmus Hojlund has been very unnecessary. Like, he didn't have the best Euros, but necessarily, the save from Neuer was a very good save that actually I don't think many strikers would have finished. I think Neuer positions himself well, and I just think people were just looking at any excuse to give Hojlund stick, and I don't like that. But we're here to talk about the transfer news first, and then we'll talk about Hojlund, then we'll talk about the other stories. But I want to talk about Joshua Zirkzee. But you know what? You've also got to remember this. When you're a Man United player on the international stage, the minute you slip up, people want to hound you. Look at Kobbie Mainoo. England lost 1-0 to Iceland. The media decided to completely and utterly blame Kobbie Mainoo for England's 1-0 defeat to Iceland. The media was like, nah, it's all Kobbie Mainoo's fault. England lost 1-0 to Iceland. They played 3 games in midfield when Kobbie Mainoo wasn't in midfield, with 2 games with Trent and a half with Gallagher. Looked crap. Kobbie Mainoo came on. They got so much better. Mr. Jacob Steinberg writing that Rice was bad because Mainoo wasn't a good partner for Rice, but Rice was worse when Trent was playing next to him. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I think it's when you're a Man United player on international duty, they want to hate on you. We're talking of soon-to-be Manchester United players on international duty. What is the latest coming in on Joshua Zirkzee? It was said, Joshua Zirkzee is very much open to joining Manchester United. He's personally spoken with Erik ten Hag. It also was said by Di Marzio that Erik ten Hag spoke to Zirkzee in recent days, and the Zirkzee's at the top of Man United's list. And that Erik ten Hag has great regards for Joshua Zirkzee and considers him as one of the most important objectives to strengthen his squad. So these were 3 of the stories coming in on Joshua Zirkzee to Manchester United this morning as well. Now, I want to talk about these stories. Of course, it's no Ornstein, it's no Romano. I think every sort of bit of information we get has to be taken with a pinch of salt. But it isn't Italian media. Now, I've been complaining that Italian media keep saying reports about how Zirkzee wants United and we're going to pay AC Milan's agent what he wants. So not AC Milan's agent, Zirkzee's agent what he wants, and AC Milan won't, and we're going to get Zirkzee. But I've always felt that the news coming out in Italian media is probably being pushed by Zirkzee's agent to scare Milan into giving the commission he wants. Now, more sources in Italian media suggesting that Zirkzee to Milan is off, Milan are looking elsewhere. All of that information. I don't know how true that is, but there's a feeling in the Italian media that Zirkzee's going to Manchester United. However, I always think the Italian media isn't very honest. The Italian media could be used so Zirkzee's agent can get the commission he wants from Milan, because we have to remember Zirkzee has an agreement with AC Milan. But what is now being reported by Di Marzio, Ryan Taylor Sport, other sources in the English press, is that Erik ten Hag and Zirkzee have held conversations. Now that could potentially change Zirkzee's stance. Zirkzee speaking to ten Hag about his role, his involvement. We know Zirkzee's doubt behind United was he wasn't going to maybe get regular minutes, whereas at AC Milan he will be the main striker at Man United to compete with Hojlund. So that was one of the reasons he was preferring AC Milan. But now Zirkzee has reportedly had conversations with ten Hag, spoken to ten Hag and those at United. Romano has now confirmed there has been contact between Manchester United, Zirkzee's reps. There is there, and potentially, with Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in, René Hake coming in, ten Hag coming in, potentially this Dutch core as well. It could allow Man United to attract Zirkzee, and it's now being said that Zirkzee is open to joining United. He spoke to ten Hag, though he has an agreement with Milan. it's now coming out in the media suggesting that Zirkzee is open to the Manchester United move and open to joining Manchester United. Now, we have to wait until Ornstein says it. We have to wait until Romano says it. But the thing with Joshua Zirkzee is we've been told this whole time that Man United will pay what it takes to bring in Joshua Zirkzee. Man United will pay his release clause. They want Joshua Zirkzee. The big doubt has always been, but does Joshua Zirkzee want United? Does Joshua Zirkzee want to move to Manchester United? That's always been the doubt and the worry behind this move. It's now being said, that he does want to move to United and he is open to moving to United. So I think that's a positive in that sense, if true as well. But yeah, Ten Hag's spoken to Zirkzee and Zirkzee wants to join is essentially what's been reported by a couple of people last night as well. People are saying Hojlund was decent. I don't think Hojlund was actually bad yesterday. I think he got into some good areas. He just should have maybe finished one of his opportunities. But actually, when you look back at it, it's a hard opportunity to finish than people think as well. I hate we have to pay his agent fee, but I'm excited for Zirkzee. So Zirkzee's £33.9 million. His agent fee would take up to a £40 million deal, I think. Now, apparently, Zirkzee's agent will lower his fee for Manchester United. He just wants more out of AC Milan because he doesn't like AC Milan, which I think is a bit of a... I don't agree with... even though I don't want Zirkzee to go to AC Milan, I don't agree with how Zirkzee's agent's been sort of acting this whole thing. He doesn't seem like a very, very good agent as well. So, yeah. So let's dive into the next couple of stories as well. Do you think we could get Anthony Gordon? No, we're gonna get into that now. So Newcastle have sold Minter for 30 million and apparently Elliot Anderson for 35 million, which means they no longer have to sell Anthony Gordon. Which, not that I think Anthony Gordon was ever coming to United, he was linked to Liverpool last night, but because of recent sales, Newcastle will not need to sell Anthony Gordon. Now I'm going to say this. Newcastle getting 35 million for Elliot Anderson that's never scored a goal for them. That is 22. Now, Elliot Anderson is a good player. There's no doubt in my mind. I rate this guy. I think he's good. 35 million. That's good money from Newcastle. They've got basically 70 million for this guy and Minter, two players that have never scored a goal for them. Why can't we sell? This is more of a jealousy thing. Why can't we sell? Why in Newcastle getting 35 million for Elliot Anderson that's played a bit here and there, hasn't scored for them, but he's shown potential when he's played in good promise, but he doesn't get in the starting lineup. Lewis Miley at 17 was being picked over at points. They're getting 35 million for him. We can't get 35 million for anyone. We can't get 35 million for Sancho. We can't get 35 million for Greenwood. Maybe that's the wages. That doesn't help. And the fact that we know we want them gone. We can't get 35 million for Casemiro yet. We should be able to get 35 million for McTominay, but who knows? It's just when you actually look at what teams are selling their players for, and Chelsea are getting 40 million for Maatson and 30 million for Amari Hutchinson. It's a bit worrying that we just can't seem to sell anyone. We're talking about, maybe we'll get 10 million for Pellistri. We should be able to get 20 million for Pellistri. He's had a good Copa America, but we're going to settle on maybe 15 million, whereas other clubs seem to be able to sell so much better than us. I don't know. It kind of makes me a bit jealous. I think Elliot Anderson's a good player, but Newcastle's selling two players for 70 million that never scored goals for them. It's kind of mad as well. The Hojlund hate last night was disgusting. It was just such an overreaction. 4 games and people are decided he's bad as well. It's crazy as well. So Newcastle have made quite a decent amount of money from sales as well. Now, I don't know if Elliot Anderson is 35 million, but that's what's being reported, and it's just a bit annoying because we can't get anywhere near that when we try and sell players. But I do want to get into some more stories. I do want to get into some more reports on Zirkzee, Ugarte and Ligt. So let's get into these next stories as well. Murta was clueless, but even he made a signing quicker than Ineos says, guys. I think, to be fair to Ineos, the Euros doesn't help. Not having the people they wanted in place to do transfers doesn't help, but we have been slow, and it has been a bit worrying from Ineos, particularly. I know Everton are hounding us out for Branthwaite. We don't want to overpay. But we are basically in July. It's June 30th today. So I'd like to see some business done as well. Elise apparently went for 50 million in the end and not even 60 million, which is crazy. But yeah, people saying Elliot Anderson 35 million. What are Chelsea and Newcastle and everyone doing to sell for such good money and we can't? I mean, we need to take a leaf out of their book as well. Anyway, what are the other stories going about in the news from Ryan Taylor Sport? He said that Man United have stepped up talks for Matthijs de Ligt, Joshua Zirkzee and Manuel Ugarte. Talks are progressing between United and de Ligt's entourage, while the club have also had further contact over the deals for Joshua Zirkzee and Ugarte in the past 24 hours. Manchester United view Manuel Ugarte as the ideal replacement for Casemiro, who's expected to depart for Saudi Arabia. So this was the other update coming in. The first news story suggests that Ten Hag has had talks with Zirkzee, and Zirkzee is now open to joining Manchester United after talks with Ten Hag. Man United have stepped up contact for De Ligt, Zirkzee and Ugarte in recent days. We know that. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed we are now having contact with those involved in the De Ligt deal. We've had contact with Joshua Zirkzee, and right now we are in contact with Manuel Ugarte. All of those has been confirmed with Fabrizio Romano. So Man United are working on 3 deals. Whether we get those 3 deals over the line, I don't know. But Man United are working on 3 deals. I want to talk about a story that isn't quite related to Manchester United, but a player I would have liked at Manchester United. And I'm not sure if you're super familiar with this story, but it's been said that breaking Leeds United have officially rejected a bid from Brentford for Archie Gray worth 35 million. He underwent a medical on Saturday after agreeing personal terms, but their bid has been rejected. I just a little bit off topic, but Archie Gray was never going to go to United because of his ties of loyalty to Leeds. But even Leeds are getting 35 million for a guy that's never left the Championship. He is very good. There's no doubt in my mind he had a very good season at Leeds, and I would pay 35 million for him. I think he's a very good player, Archie Gray. But yes, another example of Leeds turning down 35 million for Archie Gray. It's like, okay, Newcastle can get 35 million for Anderson. Leeds can get 40 million for Archie Gray. Again, very, very good player. There's no doubt in my mind. He's 18. But we can't get 35 million for anyone. Absolutely anyone at the moment. It's so jarring, honestly. I mean, Archie Gray, I think, is very talented. He's very talented. But Leeds, they didn't get promoted. Brentford aren't exactly a club raving with money. You'd think that they'd accept 35 million for Archie Gray. I thought he would have been a really good signing for Spurs or Man United, but he wasn't going to go to Man United as well. But that's a shame that we couldn't get Archie Gray. I feel like Archie Gray is a second midfield signing I wouldn't mind, but he is so young that I think we'd need someone ready now. But I think with his loyalty to Leeds, he just knew he wasn't going to come to United as well. There's so many clubs of getting decent money as well. 35 million for Elliot Anderson is really good business from Newcastle. Really good business. It's just so frustrating about how little we can do. We just can't seem to get 10 million for anyone. We can't even seem to sell anyone. I know that we give out ridiculous wages, doesn't help, but it is incredibly frustrating as well. Archie Gray is a great player, yeah. Mason Greenwood, we can't even get a bid over 25 million for. Now, obviously, there is external circumstances with that one and it's high wages, but it is worrying. Wan-Bissaka, we got an 8 million bid for. We can get 8 million for Wan-Bissaka, and they can get 35 million for Elliot Anderson. I mean, it says it all. It says it all. Criticism is not hate. It was wrong for Erik ten Hag to accept that the club spent 74 million on talent. Look, Man United shouldn't have spent that much money on Hojlund, and Man United could have got Hojlund for £50 million, but because of John Murtough's incompetence, that deal ended up being in the £70 million range. So yeah, we spent an extra 20 million on Hojlund, but we should have had Hojlund and another striker coming in so Hojlund could develop. People forget Hojlund's a 20-year-old kid that played his first ever season of football, in a top 5 league, the season before he joined United, where he wasn't even a regular starter. His first ever season of football where he was a regular starter was this season, and I think people seem to forget that with Hojlund. But Wan-Bissaka we should at least be able to get 15 million for, but we're hearing about 8 million bids in that as well. I mean, high wages is definitely the issue, 100% as well. Any deals happening in June is due to PSR for clubs. From now onwards, all major deals will happen in July and August unless there's a new set of rules, 100%. I think the transfer window has been really boring this last month. Just for someone that reports on it for every club on my second channel, it's been really boring this last month, but I think July and August it's going to get big, it's going to get heavy. There's going to be pre-season going on as well. I think the first 2 weeks of July and as soon as the Euros is done, I think particularly July, because teams will want players in before the PL season starts, I think July could be an absolutely crazy month when we're talking about transfers and potential movement going on. Will it be a crazy month at United? Well, Zirkzee's release clause is active then, so maybe we'll pursue Zirkzee. Ugarte should be out Copa America, so maybe we'll get Ugarte. De Ligt should be out Euros, so maybe we'll get De Ligt. Maybe we'll find a breakthrough in the Branthwaite situation. I mean, Everton not acting like they need to sell. If there is a breakthrough in the Branthwaite situation, I'd expect it today, but I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, obviously a lot of things because of PSR will be happening before that deadline as well. Man United are very slow in the market. Yeah, we are very slow in the market, and it's frustrating that with Ineos we haven't acted any faster. I know that we're being held to crazy prices for Branthwaite, so I can't get too mad about that. And I know that obviously there's the Euros going on, which makes it harder, but our slow approach to the window has been worrying. There's, Yusuf Fofana. I'd have loved to have seen us got a deal done before he went off to the Euros and done something early, but we don't do that. I think there's such a good opportunity there in Yusuf Fofana, and it was annoying that we didn't really pursue that properly, especially considering we did all our scouting on him last season. We know a lot about the player. I just thought maybe we could have pushed for a Yusuf Fofana or someone. And got like one really good key player in as well. Branthwaite's not at that level. I think Branthwaite's a very good player, and I think he's got very good potential. And right now, he's not at the level of Varane, but I believe he can be at the level of Varane and be a long-term partner for Martinez and a good centre-back for Man United long-term as well. Fofana over Ugarte, I think value for money, yeah, Fofana's probably more in need. My first choice midfielder is Yusuf Fofana. My second choice is Matt Sweefer. I'd probably put Ugarte as my third choice, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think if we could get Ugarte and Fofana, one that's more of a destroyer that's good off the ball, and one that's better on the ball that can also play in Maino's role if an injury happens to Maino. For me, I think that's important. The reason I want Fofana is because we're going to be so reliant on Maino in possession that if Maino gets injured, we've got no one to replicate what he can do. So the way I see it is Mount and Bruno can be our options at 10. Maino and Fofana can be our options at 8. But we also have Maino, Fofana and Ugarte that can also play at 6. And we can rotate those 3 pivot players. And we've got Mount and Bruno that can play further up. And I think that is sort of the balance you want in the midfield. I would then look to sell McTominay or have him as a squad player. But I think if we can get 35 million pure profit from McTominay, invest that into the team, that would be the best case scenario as well. Why are we linked to Dutch players who can't get their way into the national team with Man United? I think, to be honest, the scouting and the recruitment team isn't in place, so we are just going for Dutch and ex-Ajax players and obvious moves. I think for me, that we've been linked to some really good players. The thing is, I really like the players we've been linked to, like Desiree Doué, Yusuf Fofana. We got linked to some really, really good players, and then we just don't seem to be going for them. Obviously, we've missed out on Elise. Todibo's a blow that that's out of our hands. Branthwaite were being asked an extortionate fee for. Lenny Euro wants Real Madrid, so I get the centre-back list is sort of going down and down. But Ligt, I've always said this with Ligt. I feel like it's such an obvious move. Like, I think De Ligt is a good player and I think he can be a good partner for Martinez, but when you think about he's had more injury issues than Varane in the last 2 years, he's got similar wages to Varane and we're getting rid of Varane because of his injuries, because of his wages. And, Man United were trying to claim that Varane wouldn't take a wage cut. It was very well known that Varane was willing to take a wage cut to stay at United. Varane has taken a wage cut to go to his next club. Varane was more than willing to take a wage cut to spend another year at United. Ineos didn't even entertain it. Ten Hag wanted Varane to stay, but Ineos didn't know if Ten Hag would be staying. So Ineos completely ignored Ten Hag, who wanted Varane to stay, didn't offer Varane a new deal, even though Varane said he'd take a wage cut. Varane was upset about the situation, but they said he's on high wages, he's injury prone, we're letting Varane go. If you go and replace Varane with De Ligt that's on high wages and injury prone, I feel like it's a bit of like hypocrisy there from Ineos, or a bit of naivety there from Ineos. Because it's like, well, have you not looked at the situation? You've let go of Varane because he's injury prone on high wages to bring in De Ligt, who's injury prone on high wages. And De Ligt has also had a bad season and it's going to cost you a fee. Whereas Varane, when he did play for United, I thought was very good last season. I personally can't 100% get my head around that decision, if I'm going to be totally honest with you guys as well. What source said Ten Hag wanted Varane to stay? I think it might have been Jason Burt or someone from the Telegraph, but I don't want to say that because I'm not 100% sure. But I remember reading a source that was a semi-credible source that I think was like a Telegraph or the Times, one of those, that was saying that Varane, Ten Hag would have liked Varane to stay and that Varane was open to staying and taking a pay cut. This was obviously reported months ago, or like a month ago or something as well. People say Frimpong right back, he's more of a right winger these days though as well. How do we know that Varane agreed a pay cut? Well, he didn't agree a pay cut with United because he was never offered a new contract. But Varane would have been willing to agree a pay cut to stay at United, but United never gave him the option. Man United never even spoke to him about him taking a pay cut as well. So yeah. What do you think is going on with Newcastle and Forest? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if, with the Elliot Anderson bid, that potentially Newcastle go out and buy a Langa or Gibbs White or Murillo, someone from Forest that they like. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But they got 35 million, which is really good business from Newcastle. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So obviously, Varane was never offered a contract, but it was reported that Varane would have been willing to take a pay cut to stay at United. And we know that Varane has agreed a deal with Como, or was about to agree a deal with Como, where he'll be earning significantly less than what he was earning at United. Varane could have gone to Saudi and made mad bank, but Varane didn't want to do that. Like, Varane wasn't in it for the money. So I think, we could have got Varane on lower wages to stay another season, and I think we should have, because I think now we can't find a Varane replacement because we can't get Branthwaite, we can't get Todibo. It's looking like a bit of a silly decision, because I think Ligt is high wages, he's injury prone, and he's going to cost a fee up top. Whereas now we've let Varane go for free, we don't even get that fee from him of like 15, 20 million. We could have easily got 25 million for Varane. Guys, we're only on 98 likes. The goal is 250 likes. We've got 600 people watching. I want to reach 250 likes before the end of the live stream. So if less than half of you hit that like button right now, please do that. It really helps out the channel as well. Greenwood is a PR disaster issue for PL clubs, and Marseille's fans protested his signing. Sanchez on 325k to 350k a week, and that wages are big issues for other clubs after his performances since coming to United. That's the problem. This is the thing. We can't sell, and it's frustrating, but we can't blame it all on Ineos. It's not Ineos' fault that Greenwood's a PR disaster. It's not Ineos' fault that we have got Sancho on 300k a week. We've got Anthony on 200k a week, and we overspent on them and they've been bad. Ineos are trying to clean up the mess that was created by the recruitment before them, so it's even harder to sell them as well. And I will admit that as well. De Ligt makes 250k a week and said it's not about money or wages. He'll get lower. Don't worry. I think he will lower his wages to come to United, but I want him on 200 grand a week at the highest. I don't want anyone on more than 200 grand a week, and I don't know if he'll take that much of a pay cut. I don't know. If he's willing to take a big pay cut, that's fine. If we get De Ligt for a cut price and he takes a pay cut, and we also bring in another centre-back on top of De Ligt because De Ligt is injury prone, I'm happy with that. But if we're literally just bringing in De Ligt for 50 million and giving him high wages and we don't sign another centre-back, I would have elements of concern, because he's not had a good season at Bayern. I think he is a good centre-back. I think he could get Ten Hag's most likely to get the best out of him, and he could have a good partnership with Martinez. But I'm going to have my concerns for obvious reasons. There's more stories coming out today about, obviously, Saudi clubs having interest in signing Garnacho. Now I'm going to say this very quickly. There's interest in Garnacho from Saudi clubs. There's interest in Garnacho. There's teams that would spend money to get Garnacho, but Garnacho would laugh at Saudi. Garnacho has no interest in moving to Saudi. He's not going to do what that player from Celta Vigo did and move to Saudi. Garnacho has no interest in moving to Saudi. So even though there's interest in Saudi, and apparently they're preparing a 100 million bid, it's not going to happen. I will tell you that for a fact. There is other clubs with interest in Garnacho as well, and there is other clubs that would maybe pay 70-odd million to bring Garnacho in around the Premier League. But James Ducker said this: Manchester United are prepared to listen to offers for the majority of their first team squad this summer, apart from the clutch of rising stars like Garnacho, Maino and Hojlund. Garnacho, Maino and Hojlund are the three players that Man United have said this summer they're going to be untouchable. This summer, we're not going to let anyone buy them. So they're saying that Delo and Bruno Fernandes and Lissandro Martinez, it would take a lot for them to sell, but those three players are untouchable. And I like that. They know who they want. They know who they want to build around. They know who the project is for the future. Garnacho had a very good game for Argentina last night. Didn't get a goal, but he was very lively as well. Gabby Riega ruined his career for money. Why go to Saudi when he could have gone to Atletico? Yeah, because at the end of the day, he would have been on so much money at Atletico, he would have been fine. I don't get. He was saying he went to Saudi to help his family, but it's not like Atletico were going to offer him £1,000 a week and Saudi were offering him £100,000 a week. Atletico were going to offer him very good money that him and his family could have easily survived off. But he just chose Saudi for even more money, which I think was crazy as well. Garnacho, Hojlund, Maino are the future of Man United. Definitely keep them. And I like that Ineos have this vision of we want to build around those three players. We see those three players as the future. What do you think about a swap deal with Dortmund? We give them Sancho, they give us Schlotterbeck plus some money. Do you think that would sell? I don't think Dortmund would agree to that. I think we'd have to give them money and Sancho for Schlotterbeck. I really do. I think Dortmund wouldn't agree to that. Dortmund, for all the hyping up they did on Sancho's social media, we know his game. They don't want to spend more than 20 million on him. They don't rate him that much. For all the hype, they don't. They don't rate him that much. Now, a player I do rate, but Football Twitter's decided is trash, is Rasmus Hojlund. But he didn't have his best game for Denmark, but he was lively. He got in good areas. Yes, he could have been more clinical. But why are we deciding he's not good enough for a 4-game tournament when we've seen him come off the bench for Man United and score a goal? We've seen him play for Man United and get a goal out of nothing. We've seen him top the Champions League group stage as top scorer. Hojlund last season, I believe, got 15 goals, I think, in all competitions last season, or 14 goals. Let me check his statistics here. Hojlund got pretty good statistics last season for a guy that, this was Hojlund's first proper season of football. Hojlund had a season at Atalanta last season. He got 16 goals. Hojlund got 16 goals last season in 3,000 minutes. So Hojlund averaged a goal every other game last season. Rasmus Hojlund, who had absolutely no service, averaged a goal every other game last season at age 20, his first proper season being a leading number 9. Hojlund wasn't even a regular starter at Atalanta. He wasn't the leading number 9. He rotated with another player. This is Hojlund's. Hojlund, before he joined Man United, only ever had one season in Europe's top 5 leagues, which was last season with Atalanta, where he was rotating. A player that has not much experience, that had never been a regular starter for his club, that at 20 years of age came to United with the media on him in a Man United side that played some of the worst football you've ever seen, that created the least chances for their striker of any season, and he still ended with 16 goals. Rasmus Hojlund's XG was half of that of Nicholas Jackson last season, and they got the same amount of goals. So I think this, Rasmus Hojlund's bad, or because he's been crap in a 4-game tournament. Sesko's been crap. Harry Kane's been crap. But people still want them at United. Don't judge him off a 4-game tournament. He's a young lad. He needs help. He's not the finished article. But let's not judge him off a 4-game tournament. Imagine people were judging Bellingham now. Bellingham's not been great for England, but look what he's done for Real Madrid. We know he's a good player. Foden's been crap in an England shirt. Are we going to decide that Foden, Bellingham, Kane, Sesko, Hojlund, they're all crap players because of this 4-game tournament they've not played well in? It's ridiculous. Do not judge players off international tournaments. Do not. It's silly, because how many players have had good international tournaments and then they've been crap for their club? It's one of the biggest things is this recency bias in football. I think it's absolutely mad, the hate that Hojlund is getting. And I think Phil summed it up well. You don't make judgments on players based on how they play in a few games during a tournament, good or bad. United fans have seen Hojlund over a 38-game season, and most of them know is he's not the finished article by any means, but there's an exceptional young striker there that's shown quality in Champions League and in the Premier League. Let him rest now for the next few weeks. He badly needs it, like a lot of young players. And Phil is right. Why are we judging a player off 4 games in an international tournament? Why are we judging a player off 4 games in an international tournament when we've seen him play 30 games for Manchester United? We've seen him turn up in the Champions League. I don't like it as well. Hojlund had 3 shots last night, arguably against one of the best keepers ever. One was a stupid angle, couldn't even call it a chance. One was from a poor pass, and Neuer couldn't fly off his line. Exactly. When you actually look at, he got in the right areas, and you can argue, yeah, Hojlund could have scored, but when you actually look at the goals, it's a lot harder to finish than people are making out. People are making out that he's absolute trash as well. Hojlund was injured at the beginning of the season. He took some time to get fit, scored 5 in the Champions League, went on an 8-match scoring streak, and then he got injured, then scored 6 goals in the Euro qualifiers. Exactly. There's a good player there that can score goals, that is raw, but he needs development around him, and that's for United to get out of, because if we unlock Rasmus Hojlund, there's an absolutely elite level player in there. Like, there's no doubt about it. 21 years of age. If you unlock Rasmus Hojlund, there is such a good top player in there if we can unlock him. And remember this, Hojlund scored 10 goals in the Premier League last season. The same amount Rashford managed, 10, and more than Cristiano, 9, Danny Welbeck, 9, and Anthony Martial scored in the season they started at 20 years of age. 10 goals in the worst ever United side that created no chances, when his XG was lower than anyone else that got 10 Premier League goals. His XG was significantly lower than any other player that had 10 goals in the Premier League last season. He got 10 goals. I think if you create chances for him, if you put faith in Hojlund, you bring in another striker which helps him develop, he's good. Hojlund scored 6 in Euro qualifiers, and they were playing a 4-4-2. I don't know why the Danish coach changed to a 4-3-3. I was thinking that. Hojlund was doing really well in the qualifiers, and then he just completely changed the system. I'm not 100% sure why, but I don't think Denmark looked particularly good this tournament. So maybe they should have, not done that. Who knows? But yeah, Newcastle have made nearly 70 million in pure profit from Minter and of course Elliot Anderson, which is, that is crazy business, as I was saying here. But I think, all in all, the people hating on Hojlund need to give it a rest. He's a Man United player. Yes, we overpaid for him, but I believe he can get to the top, so let's support him. Denmark definitely should have had a penalty last night. It's just trust it to be the English referees that make the worst decisions. You could have predicted that. The English referees are the ones that have been making all the worst decisions. All the worst decisions in the Euros have been made by the English referees. And what about that? Oh, we all could have predicted that. Every single person could have predicted that as well. De Ligt on 270k a week and tore his MCL knee. He has recurring knee issues and is injury prone. Our scouts reported that his running and defending style will cause more injuries in his career. ACL tear next. I mean, I don't know. We can't predict that, but I do think the way that Ten Hag plays, the running, what he demands of his players, is if you're an injury prone player, you're going to feel that more. Ten Hag isn't like let the ball do the work. Ten Hag is intense, running, do this, do that. And I do think that, that it will not help injury prone players. Not saying that Ten Hag contributes to injuries, but he does play a style of play which, is more intense. And if you're an injury prone player, there could be issues there. There could be troubles there as well. The offside was a toe. I mean, the offside was crazy. It was a toe. The penalty was one that was debatable. I mean, yeah, the decisions in the Euros is just crazy different. I mean, if I was a Denmark fan, I would be fuming. Like, to have a goal ruled out like that, softest penalty given against us. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's silly. You can't say it was offside. I mean, it technically was offside, but it's one of those. I always think if it's offside by a toe, give the attacker the benefit of the doubt. They're not robots. Like, when it's offside by that little, is it really worth it again? I mean, Michael Oliver, I could have predicted one of the worst refereeing performances in the Euros would have come from Michael Oliver, of all people, as well. Big up everybody in the chat. Please do hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. If you've just joined the live show, the news coming in is that reportedly Joshua Zirkzee had conversations with Ten Hag where he's told Ten Hag he'd be open to a Manchester United move. He'd be open to joining Manchester United. He'd be open to moving to Manchester United. Other stories are coming in that Ugarte really likes Manchester United. He said talks with United and will focus on the Copa America, but United have had talks with PSG about an Ugarte deal, although it may depend on the Casemiro sale. And United had contact with De Ligt. United are in contact with Zirkzee, Ugarte and De Ligt. There's 3 deals in contact. Hopefully we'll work and find a loophole on the Todibo situation. There's Desiree Doué out there. There's other good options out there. But United's priority is striker, centre-back and midfielder. And United have basically worked on a striker, working on a centre-back, working on a midfielder. So hopefully they can get those 3 signings in. Hopefully they can get 2 signings in before pre-season, because we leave for pre-season 2 weeks. We leave for pre-season in 2 weeks. So hopefully we can sort that out as well, because if we don't have any new players on pre-season, that's worrying. Now, look, I know Arsenal haven't signed anyone new. I know that City haven't signed anyone new, but they're a lot better off than us. I know that Liverpool haven't signed anyone new. I know that the Euros and issues with PSR and certain things mean that we can't obviously just bring in loads of players now. But PSR ends tomorrow. Clubs are going to be selling. Clubs are going to be buying tomorrow. I want to see movement. I want to see movement in the next 2 weeks. I want to see players coming on pre-season with us. I want to see players playing. I want to have 3 new signings ready to start for Man United by the first game of the season in August, because I think we need 7 new signings. I think 5 new signings I will take, but I want at least 3 new signings ready to start and play for United by the first game of the season. Because last season, Mason Mount was the only one ready for the first game of the season, and then he was injured. Hojlund wasn't ready. Amrabat wasn't ready. Obviously, Anana was ready as well, but he was a goalie. I want to see 3 players that are ready to start for Manchester United, whether that's Zirkzee, Ugarte, De Ligt, Zirkzee, Ugarte, Branthwaite. I want to see 3 players that are ready for the first game of the season in August as well. So, yeah, guys, we're 20 likes away from the 200 like target, so please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. It's super important to get the spine of the team developed 100%. We need to get the Varane replacement in. We need to get the long-term Casemiro replacement in. We need that centre-back. We need that DM. We need that spine. Absolutely. 100% agree with us. Do we play Arsenal in pre-season? I think we do. So I just check. I think we play Arsenal. So Manchester United play Rosenborg on the 15th of July, Rangers on the 20th of July, Arsenal on the 28th of July, and Real Betis on the 1st of August. And then we play Liverpool on the 4th of August. And then that's it. I think that's good. I think we had too many pre-season games last season. So it's good that we've got less pre-season games this season. Real Betis is at 3 a.m, so I don't know if I'll be watching that. But yeah, we've got quite a few pre-season games, but not as many as last time out, which is good as well there. But listen, people, I am going to wrap up the live stream now. So do go ahead and subscribe if you're new and hit that like button. Casemiro needs to be gone by July 8th. Muppeteer said we won't sign someone in midfield unless Casemiro is gone and we don't have a big budget. this summer, even with sales, which is a bit worrying because there's rumours of Casemiro potentially staying, but I think he will go. Romanis says I think he'll go. Good morning, Alice. In my opinion, it's a disgrace and unfair criticism on Hojlund has had to take. He doesn't deserve. Yeah, I agree. Hojlund's been getting way too much criticism, and I think people need to calm down on it. I think Casemiro should be sold, but there is obviously doubts with Casemiro being sold and us getting a midfielder. But I think the fact that we're having talks with Ugarte and we're putting bids in and speaking to the player suggests to me that Man United are planning on signing a midfielder, even if Casemiro does end up staying as well. Why are people so quick to judge footballers based on their most recent performance image? If standards were applied to their own job, people need to take a look at themselves and understand that. Exactly. You have to look at him overall, not just base it off, what's he done in the last 3 games. But anyway, I'm going to end the live stream now. Please hit the like button on the way out. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. See you next time. Bye.